Yeah, hey, welcome to Laugh Anyway. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, you wonder why I do this and point like that and do that little thing at the beginning. It's because I have in my ears the music that goes on the podcast, the intro music and the outro music that goes on the podcast. We can't do that on YouTube. We can't play that. And so you don't hear that. And so every week you're seeing me do this. It's not some kind of condition. I got plenty of conditions, but that's not one of them. I'm here to announce. I'm Elijah Tyndall, your host here on Laugh Anyway. This is my podcast, and you're listening, and I'm so thankful for it. I got a big announcement to make, and my big announcement is this: I'm done with water. I'll say it again in case you didn't hear it. I don't stutter, but I'm going to say it again. I'm done with water. I am going to stay true to who I am. And I'm going to be a wild card. Those of you listening, you don't know, I'm showing my tattoos on the... Oh, man, so much stuff. If you'll just switch platforms every now and then, you can get a full embrace of what we're doing here at Laugh Anyway. I'm done with water, and I'll tell you why. Because I feel like water has been a propaganda sold to us by big water. I feel like there's no way in history that people were drinking this much water. They're getting up and feeling the need to hurry up and drink water and get the water in their system. I don't think that's the way people used to live. But Elijah, they used to die at 30. First of all, I question that voice. Why are you using such a high registered voice? But secondly, yeah, they died at 30 and 40, but they died happy. They didn't die all sloshy like I am right now. What do you mean sloshy, Elijah? What do you mean sloshy, Elijah? I'll tell you exactly what I mean sloshy. You ever had an ice chest that carried Cokes and stuff, and then at the end of the day, it was just melted ice. It was just the water, and the Cokes are kind of floating around in there, and then you carry it in your car on the way home, and if you hit the brakes, you can hear it just sloshing back and forth and back and forth. That's the life I'm living for the last couple of weeks because I've been embracing the propaganda that is big water. And my friends, some of you on here, some of my closest friends, some of the most healthy thinkers I know, they have bought into the big water propaganda lies. You just bought in. You didn't even question it. You're like, yeah, we drink a lot of water. We've got to have a gallon a day, and it can't be out of the sink because that's horrible water. You have to buy it out of this healthy plastic bottle that the sun hits and it melts a little bit into the plastic. So that way when you drink the water, you're also drinking some plastic. That's good for your system. Big water has tricked you and deceived you, and I'm here to speak up on the behalf of people who think normally. I know I'm taking a harsh approach on water. I know water is good for you. I can even see that right here, I get these pockets that are up here in the corners of my eyes. Those, because I've been drinking water every day, more than usual, I can see those are clearing up. You say, yeah, your skin does better too. It looks a lot better when you drink water. Once again, why the high register voice? I don't know. But I can't tell much on my skin. I've got pretty normal, healthy skin, so I don't tell much on that. But I can see this. All I'm saying is that I don't feel better. I don't feel lighter. They say, oh, it's a great way to lose weight. Elijah, it's a great way to lose weight. You drink that water, you won't be hungry because your belly will be filled with water. Bellies weren't meant to be filled with water. That's not how Jesus wanted us to live with all this water. Matter of fact, he told the woman at the well, he said, listen, if you drink of me, you drink of the living water, you'll never thirst again. Jesus, my Lord and Savior, the creator of all heaven and earth and the universe, he discouraged that lady from drinking water. So take that. And that's not just in King James. That's in all translations. Except for the Message. The Message was created so new, they probably have and Jesus encouraged her to drink Fiji. Hey, Fiji, if you're listening, I don't take I don't take money from big sponsors. I don't take money from big corporations. This, and I want to say thank you to the ones who do support this. This is through the contributions of supporters who believe in what I'm saying. And I might lose a few supporters today with my message against big water right off the top. That's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is about laughing anyway. Taking life's situations, life circumstances, the cards that are handed to us that are hard in life, and laughing anyway. Choosing to laugh anyway. Finding it within us to see a different perspective, a different point of view than most people take, and going ahead and laughing about it, learning to laugh anyway. And so we're going to pick up this week where we left off. First of all, I'd like to say an apology to water and to my friends who embrace water and encourage me to drink water. I know you only mean well. Big Water, this is no apology to you. No, sir. This is no apology to you. I know what you're doing. I see what you're doing. But to water itself, I would like to say I'm sorry. To the promoters of water itself, I'd like to say I'm sorry. There, that's cleared up. That's out of the air. Now let's get on to the content. The content is we started last week looking at ways that we can shift our mindset from surviving. A lot of us have gotten into this survival mode. How do you know if someone is beyond survival mode? Listen to the verbiage of someone that has only one tattoo and you ask to see that tattoo. If you ask to see that tattoo, they're going to show you the tattoo, but they're then going to start describing everything else yet to come. They have a vision not just for where they are, but for where they want to go in this area of their life. And how you can tell if someone is just surviving is that element doesn't come from them. They have lost the ability to see beyond where they are, and they only focus on where they are, the needs of where they are. And see, the problem is you will go where you focus in life. I ride motorcycles. I've ridden motorcycles since I was probably 13 years old. Anytime I could get on something with a motor in it and ride it, I'm down. And one principle in motorcycle riding is this: where you look is where you go. If you are about to get into a collision, what you have to do is you have to shift your eyes and your head over to the clear spot. If you do that, the rest will follow. Where you look is where you go. And the problem with this last season, this last few years, is we have been forced in some ways to shut down. We have been forced to pause. We've been forced to be in survival mode. And then many of us never made it past that. Many of us took our dreams, our hopes, or things that we were working on, and they didn't survive through that last season. But this podcast and these episodes are to remind us how to put on a different pair of glasses. That means the lens through which you look at life, your paradigm. Take off the old ones of survival and put on the ones that dream again. Put on the ones that see things not just surviving, but into the thriving arena of life and areas of life. That's what this podcast is about, and taking the bad things and negative to be able to, and seeing them in a way where we can laugh anyway about that. And so we look at what we were surviving as, and now we see that the different mindsets, the way our mind is set, is programmed by what we're exposed to. And so if we want to have something different in our life, we have to be exposed to different things. And so that means if you want to get out of the mode of just always having and driving, certain automobiles that just break down all the time, expose yourself to different kinds of vehicles. What does that do? That doesn't give you a budget to pay for those vehicles, but it does start to get the dreaming part of you in motor going again. And once that key is turned, the dreaming part, once you realize, wait a minute, that person over there is driving one of these. They're not broke down all the time. And they don't necessarily make that much more than I do. How are they doing this? How did they get approved for a loan? How did they pull this off in life? So it's the same thing in parenting. It's the same thing with being a spouse. If we're not doing well in something, what we have to do is stop looking at where we are and start exposing ourselves to a different thing where other people who are thriving in that area are and succeeding in that area where they are. And that helps us put on a different pair of glasses, a different lens through which we look. It changes our perspective and our paradigm. And so vision comes through exposure. We have to have a vision of something else for ourselves by being exposed to something else. And so these episodes, we're exposing ourselves to a different thought. And yeah, last week I talked about the thought of can't, the mindset of can't, the way we have our minds set for can't. I can't do that because of my upbringing. I can't do that because of my background. I can't do that because of my failures. I can't do that because of this. And we talked about the bee that should not be able to fly, but not only does it flies and is the highest producer of what it does. Why? Because it doesn't have the can't mentality while everyone else knows that it can't do it. It assumes that it can, and it just does. And we looked at that can't mentality. And this week, we're going to talk very briefly about another mindset that'll hold us back, and that's a mindset of rejection. Let me give you a second to take that in. Rejection, specifically the fear of rejection, the fear of being rejected. Oh, it's a real one. It's a real one. You don't like being rejected. Some people say, I don't care what anyone says about me. I don't care what anyone thinks about me. Oh, I really don't know anyone that's true about. Because most everyone that I know, when you're in a group picture, you want to see the picture before someone posts it because you want to see what you look like in the picture. Why? Well, I don't care what they think. Well, maybe we do care what they think. Well, I don't want to look like an idiot. Why don't you want to look like an idiot? You don't care what anyone thinks. But the truth is, there's a healthy way to care about what other people think. It's not necessarily a bad, negative thing all the time. But when we get consumed with the thought of being and the fear of being rejected, the fear of rejection, the fear that people are going to reject me and they're going to think thoughts that go against me or what I stand for, or what I believe in, or how I do things. That's when we stop being who it is we're supposed to be. We start embracing who it is that everybody else wants us to be, or the boundaries that they wish that we would stay within, and that's not necessarily a healthy thing for us to do. So we look at the fear of rejection. Fear of rejection is easy it's really easy to identify. I remember when I was, this is how simple it is. I remember when I was in 11th grade, I transferred schools, and I didn't know but two people. In the school, okay? And it was the late 80s, and there was a guy named MC Hammer, and he had these really cool pants, and I had some MC Hammer pants. Those of you who are unfamiliar with MC Hammer pants, they're back out now in different forms, but pretty much here's what they are. Very flimsy, fluid, loose, light material that the wind blew that kind of move around. It looked cool when you dance because it'd be doing all that stuff, you know. And they had elastic on the top. And then they were tapered on the bottom. And the crotch line of the MC Hammer pants was very low, like down by the knees. And the whole things were baggy. And then they would come in, kind of like I Dream of Jeannie, if you've ever seen those old episodes. Really cool pants. I loved them. My nana used to make me and my friends the MC Hammer pants. And we buy material at the Walmarts, mijo. Go to the Walmarts and buy the fabric. Don't make it heavy, because these kind of pants, mira, they're not heavy. Look at those ones he's wearing. See, they ching chong chang like that. See, you can see when they shake. Ay, que loco. She would send us, and we get the material. I had the MC Hammer pants on. Remember, I don't know anybody at this school. I transferred schools from a school of about 3,000, kind of an inner city school with a lot of gang activity, to this school that had 300 people in it. And not a lot of gang activity. As a matter of fact, the only gang was probably a local clan, if you catch my drift. Very different demographics in these two places. And I had my MC Hammer pants on, 11th grade, didn't know anyone at the school. Was really afraid to stand out at that place because This is a place I did not seemingly fit. I was not necessarily welcomed with open arms at this school. Matter of fact, my first day of school, the principal literally called me out from class of the office. Elijah Tyndale, come to the office, please. I went and I was like, oh no, I don't even think I did anything yet. And I went to the office and went to the principal's office. You guys called me? And he goes, yeah, we need you. We got a staff member that has locked the keys in their car. We need you to get those out. That literally happened. And I was very offended. It was a very, very offensive notion. When I came back to the office with that teacher's keys, I was like, you guys he's missing a stereo in there. I don't know. But this school was just, not a cultural blend for old Elijah. And I started to have to sneeze. I remember it so well. I was like that. And I could not hold that sneeze in. And I was conjuring up that sneeze. I was conjuring up the sneeze. And finally, the sneeze started to come out. Oh, and as I sneezed, my MC Hammer pants. Remember how they're loose and tapered at the bottom? My MC Hammer pants, all of a sudden, because of what happened when I sneezed. See, when I sneezed, through all the intakes of all that, I guess I intook so much air that when I started to sneeze, half the air was like, we can't wait to get out. We've got to go figure another way out. And they went down looking for an exit. And it found an exit. So when I sneeze, I know that my MC Hammer pants inflated like that. When I sneeze, and I don't know which was louder, the sneeze or because I just don't. But I was vibrating in there, and I was sneezing and farting at the very same time. Now I don't know which one was louder. I don't know if everyone could hear. All I know is that it happened, and I'm sitting there with full of air, hot gas, air in my MC Hammer pants. And I was just like, oh, what do I do with all this air? I was so insecure. I was so afraid of being rejected at that moment. That's the fear of rejection, because surely no one else in history had ever sneezed and farted at the same time. No, I was the first guy. I'm the guy who came up with that. The fear of rejection, it caused me to even turn to the guy next to me who said, bless you. And I was like, oh man, you foul. I blamed the smell on him. This guy was just trying to be a kind soul, blessing me from God, and I blamed it on him. Why? Because the fear of rejection causes us to be insecure, and when we're insecure, what we are insecure about ourselves with, we point to other people and blame them for. Yeah, you ever been accused of doing something from somebody, and you know good and well that they're the ones that are up to that shenanigan that they're accusing you of? Oh, how many times has that happened? Because of the fear of rejection, that's the root of it. I was afraid of being rejected because of these insecurities that I had in my life. Because surely no one else has ever dealt with. I'm here to expose this thought to you. The thing that you're dealing with, the thing that you're insecure, the thing that you're worried about, other people have dealt with that too. The thing that you feel so, much like hiding because you don't want anyone else to know, other people have dealt with that. That fear of rejection causes us to stay in a mentality that will keep us still. You'll never reach out and go for the dreams and the goals, the things that are placed on the inside of you that you're supposed to be accomplishing on this earth. You'll never go for those things if you deal with this, and because we all deal with it, but if you submit to this fear of rejection. We have to embrace this thought when it comes to rejection. Other people have faced this same giant and they have defeated him. Those other people are not so different than me. Matter of fact, because they struggled in the same area, that tells me they are almost just like me in certain ways. And if they can do it, then I can too. And it may be something that no one else has ever done, but there are elements to it. The very principles of the foundational principles are the same. If they can do it in these areas, if they can get up and try again, if they can overcome the area you're hoping no one else ever finds out about you, and they can move on, if they can go beyond this era of being canceled for certain things, and they can accomplish that, why can't you? The answer is you can, but you won't if you succumb to the fear of rejection. The fear of rejection will hold you back every time. I'll leave you with this little nugget. I was in 9th grade and I transferred. It was another transfer year. I moved around a lot. I transferred to a school, a junior high school, and I got in the band. I'd never read music, but I've always played drums. I say always. I'd played drums since I was 11. And I'd never seen a piece of music and understood it. I didn't know how to do that, but this is my first round at playing in band. And there's this one drummer in there. He's very nice. He's really cool to me. A couple of guys were jerks, but this guy was really cool to me. And let's call him Billy. That's not his real name, but let's call him Billy. And I'm guarding his name for a reason. Billy was really, really kind to me and would hang out and would help me learn music. Now, let me describe myself during this time. I had this big, giant rock and roll hair, and there were three people groups at the school. There were, and during that time in this generation, there was the preps, there was the blacks, and there was the hoods. Those are the three groups. If you were prep, you were over here, and sports people fell in that line. If you were black, you were kind of in that group, and then that transferred over to the sports group as well. But you kind of had that distinction. And then there was the hoods. The hoods are the ones who would, smoke cigarettes and sell pot and that kind of stuff like that. The hoods all listened to the same music I listened to. Also, the blacks all listened to the same music I listened to. And then secretly, the preps all listened to both these musics. And this guy was part of the preps, okay? This is 87. And, we want to pretend like everything has always been the melting pot, cultural melting pot of society. And we didn't come up from things that were divided, but I got news for you. We did, and it's okay. I challenge you, those of you who hate America because we have such a horrible racist past. I acknowledge the racist past. It's affected my family greatly. I have relatives from Mexico, okay? But I would challenge you to go to any other country and find out if you see a bigger cultural blend as you do here. I challenge you to go to any other country and see some of the same interracial relationships that we see here, and go try that in some other places and see how much it's celebrated. Not so much. So I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I actually am, this story saying is it does exist, but that was kind of the cultural, dividing lines. And this guy's girlfriend, she didn't like that. Billy's girlfriend, she didn't like that he's hanging out with me, talking to me. Why? Because I was, I didn't really have a people group. I wasn't popular in any one of them, but I kind of blended with all of them at different times for different reasons. And so I was just kind of it's just like a lingering little gangly creature going from place to place without my home, without my people. It's always been kind of like that for me, and that's okay. And and she didn't like that. And so she, without him knowing, came to me one day. She goes, "Hey, Billy doesn't want to hang out with you anymore because Billy doesn't hang out with scum." And I immediately was like, "Oh, cool, I don't care." And I just tried to play it off. But on the inside, everything was like, boo, that boo sound. And you could just hear her talking. It affected me big time. I was being rejected. And that was one of my greatest fears, is the fear of being rejected. And, you know, I wanted to quit band. I really did. Band was like the only thing getting me through, getting me by. I love drums. But see, the fear of rejection and having to face rejection a lot of times will make you want to give up and let go of the things that you really are developed and designed to do. And people are going to come along, if they haven't already yet, and I'm sure they have. But people are going to come along and they're going to present to you rejection in the most hurtful ways sometimes. And you got to make a choice that what's on the inside of you is bigger and more powerful than this moment that you are being rejected. Because see, after that moment is done, then it's yours to own. Because that is part of my story. And the reason that I can tell it, I can celebrate it because I lived through it and overcame it. I became someone who would be known in different circles. I became a voice, a face, a personality beyond that moment. But in that moment, I felt like shutting everything down. And friend, you might feel like shutting everything down in this moment. And what I tell you today is don't let the fear of rejection hold you back from going for it. Why? Because one, you're not the only person who's ever had to overcome the thing that you're fearful of being rejected for. And two, what's in you is greater. The design on the inside of you that's driving you is greater than the comments and the statements and the hurtful things that someone would bring to you. The way you can measure it with health is that no one with a clear head and a clear mind and a healthy coming from a healthy place would ever be mean to someone like that. They just wouldn't. So I'm asking you today to listen to the pure thing on the inside of you, the thing that drives you, the thing that is bigger, and go for it. What does that mean, go for it? I don't know. We'll talk about it a little on the next episode. But if there's something to start with, start now. Don't wait till the next episode. Start now. Start dreaming again. Start describing. Just start drawing out the patterns of the next tattoo. Start dreaming again. Don't let this be the end of it. I love you guys. Thanks for joining me. Once again, my name's Elijah Tyndall. This is Laugh Anyway. Rock on.